critical appreciation of Ode to the West Wind. Ode to the West Wind is a poetry, a lyric poetry which is superb, written by A.V. Shelley. It embodies his imagination, visionary idealism, fiery emotion, and urge for the uplift of human society. A zeal which places the poet foremost among the lyrical poets of all times. As we follow the violent rush of the wind, we become aware of the logical evolution of the poet's theme. The poem begins with the effects of the wind as destroyer and preserver. It goes on creating great commotion in the sky, collecting vast quantity of vapor for the autumnal rains. Then there is the sudden change wrought by the wind upon the level surface of the ocean. This is followed by the poet's prayer to lift him up from the thorns of life on which he lies bleeding. In the end, the poet asks the west wind to help him absorb himself in the speed and regenerative energy of the west wind. The poem ends on a note of fiery optimism with a hope for a new birth and awakening. The poem reveals the poet's views towards nature. Unlike Wordsworth, who looked to nature as a guide, Shelley imagines the west wind as the symbol of a super power in nature, full of life and force, acting upon woods and oceans. Here is much here Shelley is much nearer to the primitive man Byron had wished to be a portion of the storm only to share its devastation, but Shelley calls upon it as the preserver for the golden age of future. Then he thinks of the wind as a messenger carrying his message for the regeneration of humanity. There is a peculiar fusion of the personal and the universal elements. The wind blowing the dead and dry leaves putting to flight, as it were, the plague-stricken multitudes, and charioting the winged seeds to their dark winter bed for future emergence of life, is the principle which is constantly at work to bring about a bloodless revolution in the conditions of society and pure and purge it of all dirt and bad things of custom. The poem also mirrors the poet's optimism about the future of mankind. The poet appeals to the wind to blow through him and make him his lyre, and thus become a mouthpiece of the prophetic message to mankind to shatter the despairing lethargy of the present human society. There is the ringing message of hope. If winter comes, can spring be far behind? The poem embodies several types of images peculiar to the genius of Shelley. The opening lines give us an idea of the poet's intimacy with gods and spirits. There is also the image of the wind as a shepherd leading herds to feed in the open air. The imagery of the cloud is a fine illustration of a scientific truth. The picture of the heart as an unextinguished hearth sending out sparks and ashes to kindle a new birth is another beautiful and deeply significant imagery. The rhythmical structure of the ode is a typical example of Shelley's power to make the movement of the verse express the poet's mood. A great force sweeps through it from the beginning to the end. In the reading of most of the stanzas, there is not a single stop to check the onrush of the verse until the end is reached, and even there is the note of exclamation denotes not so much a breathing space as the expiration of breath. We thus see that there is the union of emotions, expressions, and harmony. The imagery of the scenes is exquisite. The union of the self with nature, the eloquence of expression, and the flow of mighty music all blend together in a magic beauty which is characteristic of Shelley, making this poem a greater lyric in the English language than any other poet.